when they are basically actively trying to redefine anti-Semitism as being mean to Israel, okay? Saying that Israel is doing it. That is the only real anti-Semitism. And here are the Republicans, by the way. One day after Donald Trump said, we're bringing free speech back to the United States of America, cynically using anti-Semitism as a cudgel, which of course this community is probably very familiar with at this point. People who cynically smear those who criticize Israel as anti-Semitic, when many of the people that they're cynically smearing as anti-Semitic are simply just anti-Israel. They are very much against anti-Semitism as well. So let's take a look.
I caught myself a moment ago getting excited as well, but I'll remind the audience, as Chairman Grassley said, we need to conduct this hearing with decorum so that we can remain efficient. So I'd ask for your help and participation in that. And with that, I'll send it over to Senator Cruz.
Anti-Semitism is evil, it is wrong, and it is flourishing with the acquiescence and, in many cases, active participation of students, of faculty, of administrators, and government officials. And sadly, the Democrat Party has a deep and pervasive problem confronting this evil. For the last 2 years, in the wake of October 7th, this committee held 0 hearings on anti-Semitism in the United States, despite the fact that Republicans repeatedly called for it. The acts of violence prior to October 7th, 3,669 anti-Semitic incidents occurred in the United States. Following October 7th, in less than 3 months, that number spiked to over 5,000. In 2024, that number skyrocketed to 10,005 anti-Semitic incidents. This problem is particularly acute on our college campuses. Columbia University. Columbia University was a major epicenter where they encouraged, tolerated, and celebrated this vicious and vile anti-Semitism.
I got it. We're good.
Rabbi Eli Buehler emailed every Jewish student on campus and said, quote, "The events of the last few days have made it clear that Columbia University's public safety cannot guarantee Jewish students' safety in the face of extreme anti-Semitism and anarchy. I would strongly recommend you return home." This is the rabbi at the university saying your school will not protect your safety. And Columbia didn't do a damn thing about it. And I'll tell you what, the rabbi wasn't crazy. Here is one picture taken on the campus of Columbia. In the back are Jewish students waving American flags and Israeli flags. In the front is a Columbia student wearing a mask because these cowards are oh so brave they cover their faces.
Yeah, show your face so we can arrest you promptly. How dare you? Christian Broadcast News Network, yeah. Current college protesters have nothing on the Vietnam college protesters. I know. Back during the civil rights struggle, people actively engaged in like campus takeovers. Samuel L. Jackson famously held hostage like the deans at Howard University alongside the Black Panther movement. Okay? One of the people that they held hostage was Martin Luther King Sr. Like these guys are getting mad at like random people posting edgy, okay, and inappropriate shit. Like Al-Qassam's next target is like, that's just entirely and completely inappropriate. Okay? It's just, there's a reason why they can only point to like one thing. And it's also, I'm going to be honest with you, it's also so inconsequential, so unimaginably inconsequential. Okay? If you think that this is a broad representation of the anti-protesters, you are a fucking rube. Okay? You're a sucker. You're a mark. You are desperately looking for anything you can cling on to. And to be fair, First Lib Palestine take, no, I'm not a fucking idiot, okay? People, half the time, people like this are unironically not even fucking real demonstrators. They go in to make it seem like these people are doing, ooh, scary anti-Semitism. You, on the other hand, think that this is appropriate. It's not. That is not an appropriate thing to fucking say. It's just not. And I said it at the time as well. in terms of like what the greater offense is here, obviously it's utterly inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Like, what, you think the state behaving in an incredibly violent way deliberately to arrest people for the crime of protesting against a genocidal foreign nation that we are giving unlimited funds to? In terms of one or the other, this is nothing. It's nothing, and everybody knows it. Having said that, however, it still absolutely is completely inappropriate. That's it. I think it's fair to have self-critique for minuscule factions of the movement that resort to stuff like this. I will never dwell on it because it's a rounding error compared to white supremacists, but objectively is not good, and I don't have to defend it. Exactly, and I won't defend it either. I will not defend it, especially as someone who has actively been targeted over again with vicious smears of being called an anti-Semite and being called a radical pro-terrorism guy or whatever the fuck. I choose my words very carefully, and yet people still clip shit out of context and actively call me these vicious smears. Everyone needs to know. Every single person in the Western world, especially if you're in a college campus, you need to be extra careful. And the pro-Palestinian movement in this country has been extra careful. And I'm very proud of them. Okay? I'm very proud of their resilience. I'm very proud of the way that they've carried themselves. Shit like this is utterly inconsequential. And I think spending any time on this, whether you're defending it or whether you're like calling it out, is super unproductive and very stupid. And I've already spoken far too much about it because the reality of the matter is, like I said, you need to lock the in.
Holding a handwritten sign that says Al-Qassam's next targets. Al-Qassam is the military branch of Hamas. Understand what this student is saying. She is calling for the of her Jewish classmates. And by the way, this student, the internet being what it is, she's been identified now on the internet. This is not a Palestinian who's subject to oppression. This is a rich blonde girl from Atlanta whose parents are multimillionaire real estate developers, and they got so proud. I'm sending my child to an Ivy League education where she'll be indoctrinated to dress up and advocate Hamas Jewish students because they are Jews. Now, if you agree that is evil and vile, let me ask you something. Where are the Democrats? Not a one is here. And it's because the Democrat Party has decided the pro-Hamas wing of the party is more important than protecting Jewish students in America. And if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe Chuck Schumer.
Oh my God. Yeah, Ted also went to Harvard, ironically enough, and is Canadian. Oh, how do they get off with being so deeply disingenuous? I mean, they're playing a role. That's the whole point. It's that anti-Semitism is out of control in this country, and to a certain degree it is. It's ironic that like most of the anti-Semitism, the overwhelming majority still come from, you know, the reactionary right. And they are basically actively trying to redefine anti-Semitism as being mean to Israel, okay? Saying that Israel is doing a genocide. That is the only real anti-Semitism. And institutions like the Anti-Defamation League, also known as the Apartheid Defense League, have played a very significant role in this. These people do not care about actual anti-Semitism. Actual anti-Semites, and their base of support is growing every single day. Ironically enough, there is wide, popular momentum around anti-Israel sentiment, and this is a reality that anti-Semites know. That's why they take advantage of this sentiment. They use Israel constantly, pairing itself up with Judaism falsely to say, see, this is how they are. And their ranks grow every single day. Okay? That's it. That's it. They're the real anti-Semites, the actual anti-Semites, and their ranks grow every single day. This creates a dangerous predicament for Jews living in the Western world. Okay? It does. But this is beneficial to Israel's interests because Israel wants as many Jewish people as possible to go and live in Israel, or at least be fearful, so that they think that the only way that they can be strong and have themselves is a Jewish ethno-supremacist apartheid state that is currently conducting a genocide. That's it. Carl's take about your ban is very interesting. I don't know what he said. It is pretty funny that these dudes who actively pal up with it is fairly interesting that the dudes who actively pal up with like neo-Nazis and shit are turning around and being like, anti-Semitism is out of control. Prince Luke Money says, in over a year of watching, I've literally only ever heard you advocate for all people to be able to exist in peace, whether they be trans in America all the way to those in Gaza Strip. How can people call you an anti-Semite is beyond my comprehension. A lot of people react to pre-existing metas. They're too busy to do their own research. They're too busy to make up their own mind. And when you have like relatively famous, relatively notable bad faith actors that monetize these vicious smears, a lot of people genuinely do think, oh my God, you're making a convincing case. This person is probably a terrorist. I don't think that those people are all, I don't think those people are all genuinely convinced. Okay. I think they hear an argument. They don't know enough about the situation. They don't know enough about the history. And they've actively been primed into thinking like, well, you know, Muslim groups that go against like any sort of Western imperialist action, they're all bad guys. They're all scary. They're all terrorists. And they turn around and agree to perhaps the shittiest argument that anyone could ever make. It drives me nuts being someone who's hung out in here on a near daily basis for 5 years and having to hear my family members judge you off one or two clips. Totally fucking insane to me. Like, I don't know how to even react to it anymore. I mean, look, you and I both know, Megaphonics, that your family members do want to feel like they're right. This gives them the opportunity to feel that way. In a way, nice hat, unfollowed. Excuse me, I'm apolitical. I don't know why you've unfollowed me for my apolitical commentary. This is great for people like your family members who want to defend Israel, right? They want to defend Israel. And I make a very convincing argument not to defend Israel, to showcase how indefensible Israel's actions are. So in their minds, it's much easier to be like, oh, that's right, he's anti-Semitic. He hates it. He loves when Israeli people are killed. He hates Jews. Do you see what I'm saying? It would be much harder for them to recognize that this community is a safe space for Jewish people, and that I have actively combated anti-Semitism for years and years and years, right? But this way, by the way, one of them didn't know who you were at first, and they said, if Hassan Piker is a member of Jewish Voice for Peace, then they're against Israel. And I'm like, you are so clueless. Yeah. What's also incredible to me is that many American Jews are relatively progressive, right? No group is a monolith, but American Jews do vote for progressive values, and they are very progressive, with one notable exception, outside of obviously the anti-Zionist Jews. And I think a lot of American Jews don't understand that the allegiance that they seemingly think they have with nationalists, with all of these reactionary forces, is fickle. And in that process, they're also actively seemingly in the short term, they think that they are defending Israel by partnering Israel with Judaism and claiming that Israel's actions are representative of Judaism. They think that this is appropriate in the short term. They think this is a good defense mechanism in the short term. But in the long term, this unironically makes Jews less safe, especially considering that there is a tremendous amount of unexamined anti-Semitism already before October 7 in the Western world. What? This is a totally unhinged proof of one of your basement dwelling enemies sent claiming you said something horribly anti-Semitic. What is this? Jesus boy, you call people pig dog. What the fuck is, I don't even know. Hassan, look at the mirror. You're basically as bad as Destiny is, boy. You call people pig dog. What the fuck is, I don't even know what the fuck that's about.
You fucking baying pig. You fucking bloodthirsty, violent pig dog.
Okay. What is this? I don't understand. What is the proof? Like, what the fuck? Jesus so loud. Just Hassan Abi's greatest hits? Okay. At least you look good in the clips. Oh, thank you. That's an old clip before October 7th, though. No, I don't think this is before October 7th. They're talking about declaring a war against Hamas. Wait, what the fuck? They edited this?
What a fucking liar, dude.
What? Pig dog is anti-Semitic, apparently. Yeah. It's not. I thought it was like a capitalist pig dog is the term. You've talked about this before, and you didn't know about the anti-Semitic ties to that phrase, and people traced it back to its capitalist origins in like Asia or some shit. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I was seeking out antiquated, ancient forms. Apparently, dog is a very communist insult. To be fair, yeah. You were screaming at a chatter. Nothing new. How would you know where he is from? Yeah. What is this? Sorry to be annoying, but when you get a chance, please watch the student animation highlighting the struggles Palestinians face, trying to reach a wide audience. Posted in the subreddit. Urban Dictionary doesn't mention it having anything to do with Judaism. Why are you always using the word pig like it's something bad all the time? Because it's a great way to fucking use as a pejorative, like you're a pig. Who pissed you off today? Why the hat? I'm showcasing my apolitical nature.
No, that's the wrong one. No, it's not. Chuck Schumer, texting with Colombia, said the following. On January 4th, then President of Colombia, Shafik, explained to Shipman and her fellow co-chair David Greenwald that she had met with Senate Majority.
Pig dog or Schweinehund is one of the most common insults used in German multimedia. That's it. They'll be like, this wasn't a slur, but I'm imagining that it is, and I've decided that you're saying it, and you're a bad person for saying it. I mean, sure, I won't use it any longer. I was unfamiliar. That's one of the funniest aspects of this, by the way. One of the funniest aspects of the Twitch is so inconsistent with banning. Twitch is so inconsistent with its bans, okay, is that Twitch literally gave Asmongold a 14-day ban for saying Palestinians are inferior culture that deserve to be genocided, and then unironically turned around and hit 4 content creators with a 30-day ban because they did a tier list where they said who has the Habibi pass, and they used Love's Sabra hummus as the bottom, as in your distance from being Arab coded. Okay? They got 30 fucking days. And everybody's like, dude, Hassan, he owns Twitch. Yeah, dude, that's right. I own Twitch so hard. At a certain point, you have to recognize how much these people are just disingenuous assholes. Yeah, the bottom tier of Love Sabra hummus is the equivalent of a bunch of black content creators doing a who has the N-word pass, which many black content creators on this platform have done before, jokingly, and then puts raisins in their potato salad as the bottom tier. That's the analog. Imagine running around and being like, this right here is the peak of anti-white racism. That's what Ethan Klein did. And he successfully got them banned, but it wasn't enough. It didn't satiate it didn't quench his thirst. It didn't satiate his appetite for more deplatforming. So he had to fucking try and get me banned too, and it didn't work. And he just hasn't stopped crashing out against virtually every single person in his orbit. It's like Italians putting Love's eating at Olive Garden at the bottom of an Italian tier list is a good example too. Exactly. It's just so ridiculous, dude. Why is everyone obsessed with you looking Arab? I don't know. I don't think I look Arab, but that's the other side of this story, which is that these guys will then invent things that I haven't said, and then they'll turn it into the meta. Like they'll turn that into like they'll turn it into something. They'll make it seem like I've said something that I haven't said. And then they'll make fun of me for their own personal invention. Or my favorite is always obviously whenever I make a joke, like very clearly make a joke, they'll be like, he meant this seriously. It becomes an urban legend like Settler Babies. Yeah, that's the meta. It's kind of Trumpian in the way that people operate. It's Trumpian in the sense that, like, if you lie long enough, then it becomes the truth. It's crazy.
Among Republicans. We, the Democrats, we don't care about this anti-Semitism stuff. Ms. Lewin?
This is so funny. Chuck Schumer saying anti-Semitism is almost entirely a Republican problem is Democrats sheltering their own from anti-Semitism.
Am I the only person that has noticed that these anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, anti-Semitic protests, that the tents all match?
It's so funny. Is that Ethan Klein? Or is that Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz? I mean, he's probably... After all, Ethan Klein says he's pro-Palestine, but he says the exact same shit. It seems weird. It's like very hard to tell who's speaking right now.
No, you are not the only one to have noticed.
Is it clear that there is significant money funding these attacks on Jewish students and attacks on America?
It is clear that there is coordination and there must be some common funding.
In the last 2 years, under the Biden Justice Department, are you aware of any investigation to follow the money behind these protests?
I am not.
Are you aware of anyone who has been indicted for funding these protests?
I am not.
Are you aware of any university that has had their Title VI federal funds cut off because they've...
Wait, why? Okay, doesn't that undermine the point that they're trying to make, which is that it's not like a calculated... Wait, what? That this is not like a thing that Iran is funding? How are you gonna... How are you going to fucking prosecute something that didn't happen? There's nothing funnier to me than claiming that American institutes of higher learning are claiming that American universities are anti-Semitic is the funniest thing. Or even funnier, claiming that American college campuses are pro-Israel. You have to literally be the most delusional person on the planet, dude. No, they're just saying Biden allowed it. Under the Democratic Party's watchful gaze, blue states as well as red states arrested 3,100 college students on college campuses for demonstrating against the apartheid state of Israel. That is 3 times the number of arrests as opposed to January 6th. 3 times more arrests. And the entire purpose of that was to obviously have a chilling effect on demonstrations, which worked to a certain degree. It did. And I suspect that those numbers will rise under the Trump administration as well. I still hope in my heart, perhaps it's a silly hope to have, that these fucking stupid liberals will recognize that that is completely and utterly unacceptable and maybe join the cause when Trump is the one doing it. Just as they changed their minds about Black Lives Matter when Donald Trump came out against it. I'm not, I don't think it'll happen, but I really still hope that there are plenty of liberals who will. Are you not apolitical anymore? Yeah, I didn't want to keep wearing the fucking hat.
Tolerated, welcomed, celebrated, and as Senator Hawley put out, had their own officials cheering on anti-Semitism as even one university lost their funding.
I am not aware of any university having actually lost their funding.
And I'll point out also, some of the defenders say free speech, free speech. You're right. You have a free speech right as an American citizen to say vile, hateful, bigoted things. Let me ask you something. If a university student went into the public square dressed up in a Klan outfit, burned a cross, and said we should murder African-American students, do you have any doubt the university would expel that student?
I am fairly certain that the universities would take...
What? Wait, they've literally done that. What are you talking about? There are Klan demonstrations that the Trump administration defended. Ted Cruz has defended. Ted Cruz has unironically, on the basis of free speech, defended Nazis and fucking Klansmen doing demonstrations. Charlottesville, there are very fine people on both sides. Like, Trump said that shit. It was, it happened in broad daylight. Those motherfuckers were saying Jews will not replace us. That's what they were marching. Richard Spencer was going to college campuses as an out and about open neo-Nazi. Hassan, the screaming kid from the Charlottesville rally, was a grad student at Columbia, and he was permitted to continue studying and graduate. Oh my God.
Take action and ensure that their policies
They should
were followed.
expel them if they're foreign students. They should be deported. And mark my words, if you are horrified at the anti-Semitism, you will see the Trump Department of Justice prosecute the people who are paying for this, prosecute those engaged in violence, and cut off the money from universities that are tolerating and celebrating this. That is the rule of law. And ask yourself, why did the Biden Justice Department do absolutely nothing about this horror that is unfolding?
Thank you, Senator Cruz. Senator Whitehouse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to all of the witnesses for being here. Let me say that I, too, am pleased that we're finally holding a hearing after years on this vitally important topic, particularly as these anti-Jewish, anti-Israel protests now erupt again on our college campuses, most of which, all of which, are getting massive amounts of federal funding. Mr. Rockland, is that how I say your name, by the way? Is it Rockland?
Rackland, just imagine
Rackland.
R-A-C-K rather than
Rackland.
R-A-C-K.
Okay, I got it. All right. I'll see if I can adhere to that.
Appreciate it.
Let me just ask you, I just want to make sure that I heard you in response. I think it was to Senator Welch. Did you say that you're not in favor of canceling visas for foreign students who commit unlawful acts against Jewish students?
I said at this time, Nexus does not have a position on that, the organization I work for. And then I went on to describe how in the national strategy, it doesn't talk about that, doesn't recommend that. And that was done in consultation with 1,000 leaders across the board and was supported by the ADL, AJC, JFNA, J Street, all of us.
So you don't think that's not a good idea? I mean, why would we permit a foreign student who's here on a student visa who commits an act of violence, an unlawful act against a Jewish student? Why wouldn't we say, sorry, but if you're going to commit acts of violence against Jewish students, Jewish Americans or foreign Jewish students, whomever, we're going to revoke your visa. I mean, you're going home.
So I think on that issue itself, I'm trying to think now. It's not, when you're talking about acts of violence and you're talking.
What's crazy about this is a dude wearing IDF dog tags, the Israeli hostage ribbon, literally telling a Christian fucking Republican, like, it's a little insane to try and deport people. Like, what more can this dude do in terms of showcase his support for the fucking state of Israel? He literally was like, yeah, the ADL is not even in support of deporting students. I don't know if the ADL actually is in support of refusing to deport students. Maybe maybe they'll change their attitude, but it's like crazy.
Talking about actually breaking U.S. law towards students. That is criminal. That should be done through the Justice Department. When we're talking about deportation, that's immigration. So if there is a criminal investigation that leads to deportation, I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Well, I'm talking about student visas. They're here on visas. They're here on particular.
Doing that.
Well, sure, but why don't we write into the process a condition of the visa that if you assault a Jewish student on campus, you're out of here. You're gone.
If it was written in the statute and if it was broad enough.
This argument is such a fucking insane thing, by the way. First of all, it entirely depends on the severity of the crime, dude. That's it. If someone on a student visa rapes another fucking student violently, I want them to be prosecuted criminally. I don't want them to get a fucking free trip back home, okay, to roam free. I want them to be prosecuted. It doesn't matter what the race, gender, ethnicity, or religion of the victim is. Like, what kind of weird grandstanding is this where it's like, oh, well, what if they assault a Jewish student? Like, what the fuck are you saying? That is not how the law works anyway, Josh Hawley. What are you saying? The law already works in the way that this person is explaining. Republicans have one speed. They just keep going, make crime illegal, like as though crime is legal somehow. But of course, their real dangerous agenda here is not to make crime illegal, as they claim. Their real dangerous agenda here is to deport any student protester for the crime of saying what Israel is doing is unconscionable.
Enough to be not just be for Jews, but for all people that have experienced discrimination, regardless of who they are. I think that we should look at that. But I think until that is in law, what I'm basing this on is what the current statute says and what currently is being done.
Well, listen, I guess I don't understand the hesitation here at all. To me, this is an easy call, and I've urged the current Secretary of State, Secretary Rubio, to do this, and I think he's got the authority to do it. My position is it would send an incredibly clear message. If you come to this country on a student visa, you are here as a guest of the United States for particular purposes. If you assault a Jewish student on campus, you ought to be out of here. And we ought to make it clear to people we are not going to tolerate it. We're not going to tolerate it for any reason. Can I just ask you why I have you here, Mr. Reckland?
Yeah,
I've heard you talk about DEI. I just want to be clear on this. You would agree, wouldn't you, that much of this DEI rhetoric has been weaponized against Jewish students? The DEI dialogue has been weaponized against them. They're called.
Wait, what? Dog. It's the one actual minority group that it's not weaponized against. What the fuck? Most American Jews are Ashkenazi. They're fucking white. Everybody understands what DEI is, okay? It's about non-white people, visibly non-white people. If anything, the DEI narrative is weaponized against Jews falsely when these rabid fucking psychos in Josh Hawley's constituency turn around and say Jews are doing DEI to bring black people into positions of prominence. That's the only time it's actually weaponized against Jewish people. Like, Nazis will turn around, Nazis in Josh Hawley's constituency will turn around and fucking say that, like, DEI is a Jewish invention. That's the only time when people associate DEI with Jewish people. The fuck?
Colonizers. They're called imperialists. They're called oppressors. It's the classic intersectionality DEI language. I'll give you some tangible examples. The DEI chair at MIT publicly issued statements calling Israel a genocidal apartheid state. You have the
Okay. I mean, it's true. Why are you spitting facts? That is true. Someone making an objectively correct statement. This only works if people have eaten so much propaganda that they automatically come to the table thinking, well, that's unacceptable. That's an anti-Semitic thing to say. That's it. I love how much those who criticize Israel endlessly pontificate and endlessly describe exactly the ways in which Israel is doing harm to people. Same with America. But America defenders or Israel defenders can just simply say, that's fucked up. And that's it. They never have to make an argument as to why this is an unacceptably anti-Semitic thing to say. They never have to make this argument. And the same goes for fucking Ethan Klein too. He never has to explain why what he's saying has any sort of truth or any sort of like real virulent anti-Semitism that he's actually been able to figure out. Because the reality of the matter is, you just got to kind of believe the argument. It's crazy. Like, this person, Josh Hawley, is not even remotely making a tangible, coherent argument as to why this MIT DEI chair has said something wrong.
University of Washington's DEI office that sent out an email describing Israel as, once again, an unlawful and oppressive settler colonial apartheid state. The DEI program coordinator at Rutgers said to Jewish students, F you colonizer, F you Zionists. I mean, my point is, isn't it time to speak some truth to power here to these people and to say that Israel is not a colonizer state. It is not an apartheid state. Jewish students are not colonized.
Bro, you know what's funny? Republicans constantly talk about 1984. Okay? Of course, none of them know how to read, and they certainly have not fucking read 1984. But, like, a big part of the book revolves around, like, making truth illegal. Like, this is what Josh Hawley is advocating for. Making it so that saying the truth is illegal. Saying that Israel is a violent, settler colonial apartheid state built around the foundational principles of ethno-religious supremacy that is currently doing a genocide is 100% correct. You might not like it. You might not agree with that statement. But if that's the case, it is up to you to tell me why that is wrong. Because I've laid out the argument 1,000,000 times over. Israel itself, with its everyday actions, denying aid to the civilian population that it is a belligerent occupier of in Gaza, are showing that reality every single fucking day. You can't simply turn around and claim, oh, that's you don't understand, that's actually bullshit, you can't say that, that's anti-Semitic, without presenting a counter narrative. Why? Why is it anti-Semitic? Why is it false?
And this kind of rhetoric shouldn't be weaponized against them. You'd agree with that, surely.
I would say that it's wrong to blame Jewish students for the actions of the state of Israel in any way, shape, or form.
And it's wrong to call the state of Israel a colonial apartheid state.
I would say that Israel right now, a number of different human rights organizations talk about them in that sense. Personally, I don't see them that.
There you go. Liberal Zionists are so funny. Liberal Zionist Jewish man, when a real Zionist walks into the room, okay, a real Christian Zionist walks into the room, he's like, well, I am a relatively progressive and normal human exception when it comes to Israel, but as a relatively normal progressive human being, it is a bit fucked up to try to claim that, like, anyone who's saying Israel's an apartheid state or a settler colonial state, like, we should ban them or deport them. We are teaching that at school. Like, our when, you know, we do have professors that teach history, international relations. Maybe it should be allowed to teach it correctly. Like, this is where the major contradiction collapses. This is it. This is where, like, being a liberal Zionist and facing the insanity of a Christian ultra-Zionist puts you at odds with the other values that you present, the other values that you believe in.
I don't see Israel that way. I've been there many times. I have family that live there. I've been to the West Bank. I've enjoyed it. However, there are considerable issues regarding the occupation that need to be addressed, and inadequacies between how Palestinians live in the West Bank.
Josh Hawley. No, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, liberal Zionists that work in fucking, college campuses who are otherwise very progressive people, okay, that have that openly call West Bank occupied territory, because it is that are firm committed believers in the international rule-based order, even though they don't fully believe it, you know, when it comes to Israel sometimes. But, like, when a guy like that encounters Josh fucking Hawley, who has no interest whatsoever in the safety and security of Jewish people, who has no interest whatsoever in, you know, combating anti-Semitism, or even an accurate assessment of facts revolving around Israel, he's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. He's like, shut up. What do you mean occupied territory? I don't care about any of this shit, okay? He doesn't care. He has no dog in this fight. He is a reactionary right-wing shithead. If you are a liberal Zionist, I'm telling you right now, if you're a liberal Zionist who's otherwise progressive, but when it comes to Israel, you kind of, you know, your brain bricks a little bit. These people are not going to be your allies for long. They will sell you down the river if you think that America is a Judeo-Christian country that represents and defends Judeo-Christian values. That Judeo part of that statement was a recent invention. That is a post 9/11 thing, okay? Before before that, nobody fucking said America was a Judeo-Christian nation. They just said America was a Christian nation. And I promise you, they will go back to saying America is a Christian nation very quickly. Do you understand?
Versus how Palestinian Israelis live.
I'm only interrupting you because my time has almost expired, and the chairwoman is being extremely strict on the time. So, but I just want to make this point because I think we're seeing it over and over and over, where you have actual campus apparatus, DEI.
Corporations won't allow that. You're wrong. You are wrong. Anti-Semitism is alluring for these malleable fucking reactionary dogs. Okay? You are fucking joke Hassan for real, Trump supporter, clueless American. Can't wait to see America fell off. Kek W. Wait, this guy said I'm a Trump supporter? What the hell? If you personally think that corporations or the Israeli lobby is going to be able to overcome the insane amounts of anti-Semitism that is growing, especially in fucking Gen Z. It's not just anti-Israel, okay? If you think it's just anti-Israel, you're delusional. I promise you, it is not just anti-Israel. Israel was the reason why so many people actively became more anti-Semitic, because Israel ties everything it does to Judaism, and defenders of Israel constantly say, if you criticize baby murder, you're anti-Semitic, all this shit. But if you think that there isn't a scary, growing movement in the Western world that is insanely anti-Semitic, you are wrong. The problem here, of course, is that Israel recognizes that and eggs it on. Israel likes it. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party or other prominent Israeli Knesset members can actively go and collaborate with fascist right-wing and oftentimes anti-Semitic movements in Europe. You know why? Because if every Jewish person living in the Western world is scared, then they will support Israel more. This is incredibly short-sighted. Tomorrow I will have Simone Zimmerman, who shot the documentary Israelism, on the broadcast alongside Noah Colwyn as the number two anti-Semite, according to StopAntisemitism.org. Once again, we'll talk more about this dynamic extensively, especially the mentality of Zionism and the ideological movement of Zionism growing amongst American Jews. Well, historically growing. It's definitely softened now. It's actually diminishing, especially post October 7 amongst young American Jews. Oh my God. We found a JD Vance here in the real world. It's JD fucking Vance. Time for reform, lad. Why is anti-Semitism more serious than anti-black racism? It's not. There's not a fucking, what are we talking about? It's not like a Olympics for it. Anti-black racism is baked into the heart of America. It's just like, it's in every orifice. It's complicated to tackle. It has evolved so much throughout time. Anti-Semitism, on the other hand, is like pretty basic overall, but it's not a competition regardless. Unless you're asking, like, in the eyes of Republicans, why is anti-Semitism more serious than anti-black racism? They don't give a fuck about anti-Semitism either. They just care about defending Israel. They also, it's not just about defending Israel either. The scary part about this is an appropriate way for them to weaponize smears of anti-Semitism to do McCarthyism. That's it. And in America's history, we've done this before. Blackballing people, blacklisting them, arresting them for being communists, okay? And that's what they're going to do. There's going to be a shit ton of Jews that also get harmed in this process. Jews who bravely put their bodies on the line and protest against Israel's apartheid and Israel's genocide. Yeah, and then you got these fucking dipshits, dude. Nice, dude. Yeah, that guy's definitely Muslim, definitely pro-Palestine. Coming in here looking like the fucking Reform UK dipshit. Like, he's such a dumbass, dude. Reform UK! Lads, we gotta get them all out here. We gotta fucking get them all out here.
Apparatus on these campuses. These are departments, these are officials, these are professors who...
Silence the dissenters be easier this way? Oh, you mean like the way that they're actively going after people? It's not going to be just about anti-Zionism. I don't think they even cared that much about anti-Zionism. I know you've already addressed this, but American Jews are overwhelmingly just white people. So it's easier for religious conservatives to get on board with defending them from perceived oppression versus people of color and non-Judeo-Christian religions, Hinduism, Islam, etc. No, but like, Megaphonics, I think it's because you live in California in a relatively high density Jewish area. Like I've seen Heartland America. Let me fucking tell you. Okay, I'm sure you know this already. There are motherfuckers who will unironically defend Israel because they're evangelicals and they think like, you know, Jesus Christ is going to come back, while simultaneously being like, yeah, they got them horns and tails, brother. That's why they have to wear the hat. Like, literally, Bible country simultaneously is the most pro-Israel place on the fucking planet and also the most anti-Semitic place on the fucking planet.
Who are weaponizing that against Jewish students. My question is, shouldn't we condemn that? No holds barred. Say that is wrong for saying Israeli students are colonizers. Jewish American students are colonizers. Israel's an apartheid state. That is wrong. Full stop. No conditions. Would you agree with that?
I would say that a lot of DEI programs need to actually bring into its anti-Semitism training, either going to other organizations, because so much of what is happening within the DEI
or just be eliminated. Why don't we just eliminate the DEI programs and eliminate the kind of reverse discrimination against Jews that they are?